Hey there, and welcome back to the Etsy Seller Podcast. I'm your host, Cody McGuffie, and today I'm excited to share with you this episode where we are lucky enough to sit down with Rich, have him on the podcast, where he shares the ups and downs of his entrepreneurial journey, all leading up to now helping others generate 6-7 figures in revenue through various platforms, including Etsy. Rich is a seasoned veteran of the e-commerce industry with years of experience under his belt. And today we talk about how he hustled his way up by just focusing on what he loves doing as a creative entrepreneur. We have an awesome episode for you guys today. As always, the podcast is brought to you by EverBee, and we believe that everyone deserves the opportunity to pursue their passions and live life on their own terms. We believe in making e-commerce accessible to everyone in the world and using it to make a positive impact in their families and their communities. And EverBee is the Etsy growth tool that helps Etsy sellers find those winning products and get more sales. With EverBee, you can see the revenue of a product, you can see monthly sales a listing is generating, you can see the tags that each listing is using to drive their SEO, and you can understand the keyword search volume, meaning you can understand what people are searching for on Etsy, and you actually can see what they're buying on Etsy. It's a tool you guys need to be using to grow your Etsy business. So sign up for free today at everbee.io. Here's a clip from today's show. Thanks for coming in.
No problem, man. I appreciate you.
No, of course, man. Tell us a little bit about your story, man, because you know a lot of stuff about a lot of things about online selling. And I mean it. So I really appreciate you coming in and sharing value with everyone here. So tell us, what's your story?
All right, so I started a long time ago. So just the entrepreneur path. The people who don't know me, my name is Rich. I have a YouTube channel called Hustle Ninjas, where most of it is based around apparel printing, print on demand, selling on Etsy, your own website, selling on Amazon. But just to rewind back, I guess, towards the beginning, since I was 13, 14 years old, and just to give some more detail on that, I'm 32 years old now. So that was a long time ago for me. I got into graphic design early, and as my skills progressed, I guess the first thing I sold was just a digital file, a graphic design for a nightclub, just a promo flyer. So I sold that for $50, and that was my first taste of the entrepreneur world. And then from there, I got real quick connections to, so it wasn't necessarily a nightclub ad. It was so my sister's boyfriend at the time, she's a lot older than me. She's 10 years older, 8 years older. And she was dating someone who's in a fraternity, and he throws fraternity parties. So I made a design for that. And then from there, someone who owned a nightclub asked for my contact, and I was making designs for them. And then from there, someone from a radio station got my contact, and I was doing a lot of design work for radio stations and whatnot. And then I was posting all of these examples on MySpace at the time, and that was how I was getting a lot of my leads. And people on MySpace were ordering from me, and I was getting not only PayPal. PayPal was still I want to say kind of new. Still, that was about 2003, 2004. It wasn't new, but people are still trying to find a way to do transactions on the web. I was still getting money via Western Union. So people would send me money through Western Union, and then I would send them the actual design.
So this is how many years ago? 2003, that was your first time you did something.
That's about 20 years ago.
Wow, crazy. And so you have a design design background, I guess, right? Would you say that? Or because obviously people are hiring you for designs.
Oh yeah, so most of it came from the design space. My full background is just coming from the whole design spaces. So from that time when I was 13 to about 18, 19 years old, I did that for a long time. I was just doing designs, billboard design, business card designs, just pretty much.
Just an agency, you're a digital, a design agency, I guess, in a small sense, I guess, right?
Yeah, everything in the promo space. So I guess when I was about 20 years old, I moved to Atlanta, Georgia. I was born and raised about 2 hours south from Atlanta. I bought a printer, and we started printing flyers and whatnot, physical flyers. Because usually whenever someone was ordering from me, they'd pay me $50, and they would have me forward the design to a printing company. And that was an extra $200-$300 that we were missing out on because someone else was printing it. So it took me 10 years to be okay, we should purchase a printer. Me and my cousin, we put in the money to purchase a printer, and we started printing out flyers.
How much you pay for that? Curious. How much you pay for that? Yeah.
It was $10,000.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. To me, it was a lot. I was only 19, 20 years old.
Give you a sense, right? Most people listening to this right now, $10,000 is a lot of money to invest in a business, right?
Yeah.
Invest in themselves. So it's a big leap, especially at that time. I totally get that. You're basically taking a bet on yourself, man. So that's amazing. Seriously, especially when you're 20, 21, something like that, you said?
Yeah. About 2021 is when I moved to Atlanta, because I was still back and forth, and I had to get an apartment downtown with a garage so that we could fit the printer in there. And we had this large cutter that because whenever you print a flyer, it's actually like 6 flyers on there. And
Okay.
then you have to get a large cutter to actually like cut it, all the sheets down. So we had to put that inside of my garage. And at that same time, I decided to go back to school. I took about like a 2-year break from after I graduated high school. I went to AIU for graphic design. So
Okay. So your passion's design, like you basically wanted to continue going down that path at this point.
yeah, I don't know if it was my passion. I think it was just almost like it was just stuck to me. It was just like a part of me. I'm passionate about like design or just like, yeah, probably in the creative space in general.
Okay.
Because like during that whole time period, a lot happened between the time I was 18 years old to I finished college. Because then I got into, we were printing flyers. I got into videography. I was doing wedding videos.
Okay.
I was doing music videos. Like I was actually shooting. I was editing them.
That's wild, man. So like that makes sense why like your YouTube channel is called Hustler Ninjas, right? Literally, like all I hear is hustle. Like,
yeah. So like I bounced around a lot. Yeah. And then also I think, let me see. So my first son was born when I was 23.
How many kids do you have?
I have 2 kids.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So when I was 23, I was wrapping up with college and I didn't have time to be running around doing videos and stuff like that. So from the time frame, like I was 22 to about 24, I was already transitioning. I was trying to find a way to get into more of like the online space.
Yeah.
Because like I was selling on Fiverr in 2000. Man, this is crazy. 2000. I don't know, man. It was a while ago.
A while ago.
Yeah. So during that time period, though, I was selling on Fiverr, and that was also like my first taste of selling online a lot more. Yeah. Instead of like, when I was younger, I was selling on MySpace, but there was no system to it. Fiverr was kind of the first taste of like someone's placing an order. All I have to do is send it, like upload the file, and then they have it, and then already have the money. That was the first time I had like a taste of like an e-com system. So what I did was I listed my flyer designs. They were all templates. I had thousands of templates at this point for $5. We was only getting $4. This is when Fiverr was literally $5. That's what Fiverr is known for. Before like they increase all their prices, right?
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So Fiverr was literally just everything on there was based off of $5.
I did not know that. Interesting. Okay.
So I would make people flyer designs for $5. So, I did, I don't know how much I did, but it was like, I did like a few $1,000s in sales, and it was real cool to me because they would like type in the event that they wanted and the date and they wanted. And to them, it probably looked like I made the whole thing from scratch, but I had thousands of templates at this point to just like play with. So they needed something for a baby shower. I just like plugged in the dates and whatnot and sent it back. So that was my first taste of like selling online. So from there, I got into, I was flipping things on eBay. I did like the private label route on Amazon. I was ordering things on Alibaba, a lot of different things until I finally graduated from college is whenever I got into finding Etsy. That was by 2013, 2014. Yeah. Okay. So I was 23, 24. And then I actually started off on Etsy selling stickers, like decals. I bought a vinyl cutter and I was attempting to sell stickers because a lot of people were buying those monogram stickers at the time. Like they wanted to put it on their wall or their car, or like, if you have like a stand-up shower, like the glass on there. So I was doing that, but it was so irritating. I probably only made like $100, $200 in sales within the first month, but it was discouraging to me because like it's hard to make vinyl stickers if you're impatient, because once you lift up a piece of the sticker and if it touches another part, then it's like kind of stuck to each other.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was irritating. So I sold that vinyl cutter, and I was like, I gave up for probably like a solid month before I even pick myself back up. And then I got back on Etsy in August of that year. And then I started to sell back to school t-shirts. I went to go buy another vinyl cutter. I didn't know you can use a vinyl cutter to make t-shirts. So I bought a vinyl cutter and a heat press, about $500 off of, I think it was like Craigslist or something at the time. Okay. And then, man, so I posted back to school t-shirts, and man, I did over $10,000 in sales that first month getting back on Etsy. To then it was like, all right, now.
Oh, you see it. You saw the light at that point, right? It's like almost like a trigger went off, like, oh wow, this is the potential is huge here. Like,
yeah, it's huge. So from there, man, I just got into t-shirts, Etsy. From Etsy, I was already aware of like Amazon. I got back into Amazon, and over time I started selling on my own website. Then I started to move too fast again, and then I started to try to do some clothing brands here and there. So much stuff going on.
Yep.
And I think that was always my problem before I even like found like consistent sales, is that I always try to do too much.
Mm.
And then eventually like I just focused on Etsy and t-shirts. Then once that started doing really well, then I took it over to Amazon, did t-shirts, and then I did it on my own website. So
That's
so
golden, man.
much different, so many different things. And then finally just like kind of
Focus.
focusing on like one product, or just like one general product, that took me a long way.
See, man, like, so let's pause right there for a second. That's so powerful, I think, for somebody to hear, because I personally have done that too, where like, we have so many ideas, so many businesses, so many products. Like entrepreneur mind is like a hustler, like for example, like for like you, is your mind is exploding with ideas. You believe you could actually do everything all at once.
Yeah.
And and you probably can, but you won't be able to be great at anything. Right. Like you'll kind of be average at everything. So like the awareness that you had eventually at some point to like basically shift like, oh, this thing has a lot of potential. I'm going to invest all my energy into that one
Yeah.
thing, or maybe those two things at the time. And that's kind of where it started to take off for you.
Yeah, it was. So like that first full year on Etsy, I did over 6 figures, and then eventually we crossed over 7 figures, like right before COVID. And then of course everybody's sales exploded during COVID. But like the year before is when I actually got on YouTube and started just like pouring my knowledge back into, trying to teach or trying to grow a platform. I really didn't even know I was growing a platform. I was just doing it for fun,
Mhm.
because that was another piece of me. Like I liked videography. Like I'm a creative at heart. So I just like creating different things. So I
Yeah.
like to making videos. I posted on there. Not too many people were watching, but over time, like a few people here and there were watching.
Yep.
I put a course and a program on there. I was giving out free information, and then people were saying it was helping them out. So it was just crazy.
It happened
So
like organically for you, because I think I don't know if you would agree with this, but like you had a gift, right? Your gift is like, what you're the best at for the minimum amount of effort, right? Like design is one of your gifts, right? Whether you're
yeah,
like that's a gift, and like sharing the knowledge that you have is also like a gift, right? It's what you do on your YouTube channel. It's not like it doesn't sound like it's your mission in life to grow your YouTube channel, but it just happened organically because you're good at it, and you obviously have success, and people want to be successful too. So man, hats off to you seriously for that. That's really cool.
I appreciate you, man.
So backing up a little bit for the numbers, because everyone on listening to this right now, we enjoy like talking about numbers, the details of things, because not everybody shares. There's like what you just shared, right? My
Yeah,
first
yeah.
year, I made 100,000, right? Plus, I mean, 6 figures. And then the next year you did over 7 figures, which just make sure everybody understands, like that's over $1 million in revenue. That's amazing, man. Seriously, for your second year on Etsy, that's crushing.
No, it wasn't my second year. It was a few years sooner.
Whatever it
My
is.
first year was like 140. The second year was about 300 and something. Third year was like over 500. It wasn't until it's like probably COVID years whenever we hit over 7 figures. So
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
my fault. But either way, that's
No,
actually
you
even better, to be honest. Like that's actually
good.
sustainable
Yeah.
growth. It's not like you got lucky. Like you actually grew this thing over time, like
Yeah.
by doing the right things.
Well, see, that's where my numbers get mixed up, because then I was also doing Amazon and stuff, and we would hit big numbers on Amazon, but like the margins is way different. And
Sure.
then like we would always like say if we had a hot seller that was on Etsy and it's also winning on Amazon, then that was something that we knew we would throw on our own
Okay.
general niche website and run Facebook ads on it. So we would get extra sales off of Shopify. So for anybody who watches my YouTube videos, they have an idea of like how I work now. And then like there's always like sales of like
Yep.
multiple
I
different
get it.
places. So
Actually, I'm very similar in my e-commerce journey too, right? Like we would find one thing that would sell really well on Etsy, and then we kind of like sell it on Shopify. And then if it made sense to go to Amazon, we would do the same thing. And like when we talk about numbers high level, like we just basically say like your total revenue amount for across all platforms, right? You don't
yeah,
necessarily have the
yeah,
breakdown on Etsy. I understand that for sure.
yeah, for sure.
But even if Etsy is just a portion of that, like that's crushing, right? Let's be honest, like that's awesome. And there's a lot of people watching right now who have like 100 sales or 0 sales, right? And they're just trying to start it out. And when they hear your story, it's probably really inspiring, one, but it's also maybe like a little bit of like, yeah, but like Riches has been hustling like since he was born, right? Like I'm just getting into this thing for the first time, like this year.
Mhm.
Can I make it? And what would you say to
Yeah.
that person that's right
I,
now?
I mean, you can definitely still make it. It's really all about that focus, because I gave up on Etsy before I even did really good numbers, because like I was frustrated. I didn't have enough time to fulfill orders, and I didn't have time to post more listings. And then even before then, like just flipping things like on Amazon, or it's so easy to get sidetracked
Mm.
in this whole YouTube, Instagram, social media world now. It's like you hear someone talking about stocks and like how they just came up overnight. You waste a whole next day like trying to figure that out. You hear someone
Bitcoin,
talk,
crypto.
yeah. So it's so easy to get distracted. Sometimes you gotta shut the world down and just like if you know something is working, you really have to focus in on that. It's even harder nowadays to focus. So, hats off to anybody else who's like trying to start right now and even listening to this because then you have an idea of like the route you want to go. You just really gotta just focus on that one route.
I love it. Going a little deeper into that, you said t-shirts. Do you believe like there's two ways that have an Etsy shop, for example, in my world, at least in my head, at least there's like more of like a general store. Like maybe I sell like a lot of different products, or maybe I sell to like a specific audience, like a niche, right? Like I'm serving like a specific type of people, like bridesmaids, for example, or something like that. What do you believe necessarily that is the best way to do it? Obviously, you could be successful in both, but what do you think?
I believe in niche products, but everything I've always done has been as a group is just like a general storefront, you
Interesting.
know. Yeah. I mean, because like most people, if you look at the data, like most people convert just off the listing itself, not from the actual storefront. People come onto Etsy and they type in what they're looking for, and then most people are converting off that single listing, unless they're looking for like a similar design. And as soon as they click on the shop, it's like all over the place. Unless like, see, I do see like a handful of like those bridal shops though. They are crushing it, just like focus on. See, I get sidetracked too. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah. Me
like
too.
yeah, but I've always done the whole general thing because like there's always so many ways you can dip. Like say like the bridal shops are cool, but then like everyone knows like when elections come around,
Yeah,
like sales go crazy. So
free for all.
um yeah, so it's like that's not a niche that you can dive back into if you're just like focused on bridal stuff or just any type of trending product. Like we use Google Trends a lot, so just knowing like what events and whatnot are happening right now, staying in the know, staying in the trends, you would
I love
only
it.
be able to do that with like just a general storefront.
I totally get that. Yeah, it basically kind of gives you I guess the only downside, which is pretty honest or pretty obvious, is like you can't really build like a loyal audience that way necessarily, right?
Yeah.
But that's okay if that's what you enjoy doing, I guess. But the brand building is probably the tough part there, right?
Yeah, brand building is definitely tough. I mean, if you really, really want to win, it's just gonna be brand building and yeah, you want data. So I mean, you wouldn't really want to be on Etsy to begin with. I mean, you
Yep.
can use it as like a like
A lever.
yeah, I guess it would say like almost like a lead magnet. If like you have like I can probably guarantee all those bridal shops who just like focused in on like just that one niche. I'm sure they put in cards that go back to their own website, you
Hmm.
know, because if you really want that brand building, you're gonna want to be on your own website anyways.
Yep.
But
So to anybody listening, there is like basically what Rich is saying is like you could start on Etsy, or maybe you can have Etsy be a sales channel for you. But the
mhm,
idea is that like it's awesome. It's a really, really cool platform. But as far as like building that brand that you want to sell one day, like
mhm,
you want to build this thing to like be a multi-million-dollar company and then actually sell
right,
to a buyer, it's hard to do on Etsy. So this would be like you could start on Etsy, you can crush it on Etsy, but then eventually you want to like diversify into like your own website and actually build the brand on that website. And Etsy would be a sales channel for you. And Amazon would be a
yeah,
sales channel for you. And eBay
yeah,
or whatever would be a sales channel for you, right?
right, yeah, I agree. I mean, the only other thing too is like most people who are, if you are just starting, there's so much more skills involved that you would have to learn that's gonna discourage you even more. Like website building and have someone trust your website, that's already hard itself. Like people already trust Etsy, people already trust like the marketplace, and people come on here because they're ready to convert. If like you throw someone on your own website and like it's your first time building a website, now you have to focus on creating a nice listing, creating a nice design on top of creating a nice website that people trust. And then you got to get the traffic to that your
Yep.
website. So it's like a whole nother layer of like just having to
Yep.
learn.
Totally agree with that. And like, and whereas Etsy is like they bring the traffic, they bring the trust, they bring the credibility, they bring the structure, they bring the technology that needs to
Mhm.
power very easily. All you need to do is find a product or make a product that people want to buy, right? And you can do that in a variety of ways. Google Trends is one of them, but like EverBee, obviously, it's no shame in like plugging that, like sell things that people are already looking for and buying. And then you have to obviously create images and then a title and tags and description, right? And it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're set up at least.
Right. And then see, that's the conversation a lot of people have whenever they're like, oh man, Etsy fees are so high, like, from 5 to all the way up to 15% if you're doing offsite ads and whatnot.
Mhm.
Like they're like, oh, the fees are so high. For someone who's starting off, they might think those fees are high, but like when you're on your own website, those fees are just as high. And whenever like you spend it in marketing and whatnot, it's not all the way up until like you just get automatic organic traffic is like whenever you're just paying that 2-3% transaction rate.
Totally agree with that. Yeah, I agree, man. Like Etsy is very affordable actually,
Yeah.
considering all those things, right? They bring the traffic, but you do have to understand like how to build a nice listing still too. And
Yeah, yeah,
you,
absolutely.
it's still like a transaction like on the internet, whereas like no one's trusting somebody in person. Like this thing is, they have to trust this listing enough to actually convert on it. We spend a second on that actually, because you actually shared before the call, you have some like students that are like crushing, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I just not found this out myself because we had the program where it's pretty much self-paced, but we're changing that to more of like some one-on-one coaching or some group coaching. And I'm actually bringing on some other seven-figure sellers to help me coach too. And we'll actually also have, so two of my previous students, one of them's about to cross $1 million this year. They've done over 900,000. I can pull up the exact number. It's like 900 and
On which platform?
on Etsy. So
On
in the
Etsy.
past 2-3 years, they've done $977,000 in sales, and this is Canadian. 21,000 orders in the past 3 years. So I guess
Pretty
roughly $330,000 a
on
year,
average.
or
Crushing.
probably, yeah, 2020, 2021, yep, and 2022. So yeah, so it's crazy, and him on as an accountability coach. But it's just crazy how you can, if you take the knowledge and you stick to it, then you can. To me, it's life changing. Like the first time I saw like where I'm at now, it's kind of whatever. Like I'm still grateful for it, but it's one of those situations where you're satisfied, but you still want more, right? But the first time I hit like that first $10,000, it was just like life changing. Even though it wasn't all net, it was just like
Yep.
now there's opportunity for me. There's just so much more out there. So I don't even say these numbers just to like blow people's minds. I just want people to understand like,
There's potential here. There's power.
yeah, there's potential, there's power, and I want people to know it's possible. Cause like even though like we live in the age of like social media, like anybody can come on here and like make up
Yep.
numbers or something. I want people to understand like even if that person is making up numbers or something, it's like
It's still
it's
true.
still,
There's still
yeah,
truth in here somewhere.
yeah, there's still truth in it somewhere. You just gotta watch the people, make sure
It's
that
not, yeah.
whoever you're learning for, yeah. So that's like a whole nother story. But I just want people to know that like, they can change their life on this single platform.
So many people here, man, are listening to this and they're driving to work. They are driving home from work. They want, like, maybe they want out of their job, or they want the option to at least leave their job. Maybe they don't want to leave their job necessarily, but maybe they want the
Right.
option to do it. And I think that what you just said speaks to them, is like, this e-commerce thing, you're on the right path by listening to this, right? Listening to your story,
Yeah.
like they're on the right path. Just like keep going, I guess. For someone just like kind of starting out, what's the next step you think in their journey? Like, what would you tell them? Like, what kind of action should they be taking right now, after listening to this?
Yeah, so I mean, like what I just mentioned is kind of mental. So like I always personally, I think half the game is mental, and then the other half, of course, is the physical work.
Hmm.
But like when it comes to like physical work, like say if someone's on the way to work, I'm sure when they get there, they have a task that they have to do every single time they get to work, whether it's clocking in or logging in on a computer, or doing like checking something in an email, replying back to a certain person. There's always some kind of task that's like repeatable that like helps the business every single day. So
Yep.
that's like one thing when it comes to Etsy is like listing an actual product. Even if it's one product a day, that's something that you should throw onto your schedule.
Mm.
If you want your Etsy business to be like your job, you have to do like, even
Treat it like
though
a
it's
job.
different, yeah, you have to do something that's similar every single day. There's like a task that you can focus on every single day. Whether you see the growth now or you see it next month, is something that is going to help.
Yep.
So it's
I love
whether
that.
it's, yeah, posting a listing, that one always helps. But getting better at designs or purchasing designs, getting better at keywords, just product research in general is probably going to be the best thing that you can sharpen your
I love it.
skills on.
Totally, man. Those are all super, super big takeaways. So guys, like if you're listening to this, like go home, or when you're at home, like take notes and actually do the thing. So many people are out there, like it's really common, right? It's a fake work, right? Like you almost like convince
Yeah,
yourself that you're working when you're just like doing nothing, right?
right, right.
So like, yeah, lock yourself in the office, or lock yourself in the corner, lock yourself on your bed on your laptop, and do something. Because the reality is like, you're going to get better regardless if you're just taking action, right? If you're creating a listing, even if it's
Yeah.
like kind of a poor listing at first, obviously you want to make it better and better, but like just create the design, do the product research, like look at different niches with EverBee or other tools that you're using, and just like dive in, and treat it like a job. Because like you were kind of alluding to, like if you treat it like a hobby, it'll pay you like a hobby,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think the other thing on top of it too is like, yeah, some people sit there and they kind of do nothing, but sometimes I think like they're just overwhelmed from going to work and then coming back and like they
Mm,
soaked in way too much information and then they're overwhelmed and they're just like kind of stuck. So
yeah.
really, like I think you just have to dumb it down sometimes and really like right now I use Monday.com. I just use the free version. I just
Yep.
make a cloud to-do list. So it's like on my phone and it's like it's on my
Nice.
desktop. And like everything is just like set out in simple steps. So like I can mark it off if I did it that day. So just like creating a listing, I can mark it off. Like everyone has like a list of like 100 things to do
Mm,
every single day. So like when it comes to their free time to focus on their business, I think like they're just too overwhelmed. They don't know which task to focus on.
I think you're
So
right.
I think they should write it down and then like put it like prioritize it. If like this is something they should be focused on today, how urgent is this or like how much is this going to help their business? So I think just creating a list of things to do and actually, you know, doing it that way.
Crazy, man. So what do you think the list for someone should do? You already kind of said it, like create a listing, right? Create one listing. So if you don't know which listing to create, I guess go to EverBee literally and like type in some niche for its bridesmaids and just see the products and be like, okay, what can I create on here? Click it and be like, okay, I think I can make something like that, and then change it 20%. Or like, what would you tell? Like, what should they put on their to-do list?
So yeah, you could do it that way. If you got design skills, then you could probably try to create an alternate design. But
Mm,
the simple way I teach people too is just so you can use EverBee to see like which keywords are ranking and whatnot on a particular product. You go to that product and then you can validate if it's like it has good reviews or if it has a lot of sales. If they have their sales visible, then you have an idea if this is a good product or not. And then we take those same text and we go to uspto.gov. We,
mhm.
we just want to make sure it's trademark or not. And then we make like a variation of it, right? So if you're already a designer, you can like try
You
out
already,
this
yep.
way. But if
That's
you're
solid, by the way. That's like step by step. Like somebody could take that away right now and I go apply that. Like that's obvious to you. You're almost like it's
yeah,
like so obvious that you're like almost like just going through the motions.
yeah,
But
yeah.
somebody's never heard that before. And that's why like I'm happy that you shared it. So thanks for sharing that. Like step by step, like go and do those things. And you're gonna learn so much in the process.
Right. And then so like I would take that. Um if you're a designer, you can already design. I wouldn't necessarily recommend going to Fiverr or finding a VA just yet because you don't know if this design is going to sell yet, but you can take $1 or $1.50 and purchase an SVG. So there's always like an
Mm,
SVG out there that's based around those same keywords and whatnot. And then we actually list that for sale. And then you can see if that works for you. And if that works, then over time at a more mid to high level, you can find a designer on Fiverr or find a designer, find a VA, and you can
mhm.
get a list of these things and then send it off to them and then get multiple designs back to you. So,
Yep. Dude, I think that's such a popular strategy. Actually, I talked to somebody recently that basically they used EverBee. They found like they chose a niche right there. I was going to serve like let's just call it like the cooking niche, right? People like to
right,
cook, and then they basically they found a digital product, a couple of digital products that were crushing, with EverBee, and like they were just like, oh wow, this thing is like doing so many sales. Digital product, and they went to, but they didn't have the design experience. Actually, they don't have the design skills. So then
right.
they bought a couple of competitors and then but they had the cooking skills, like they knew cooking, and they knew that like when they bought these things there's like, oh, there's like things in here I would actually improve this product by like doing this. I think they should change this, we should change this. They put their own flavor on it.
Yeah, like,
They added value to it. They didn't just copy it, they added
yeah,
value to it. And then they sent it, basically sent their document or whatever it is, that basically the scope of work to, they hired somebody in Fiverr and basically saying like, hey, here's a couple of examples, but like I want mine to be, different
yeah,
in these ways. And so then they took that after they did a couple of iterations with a designer. They got it, they uploaded it to Etsy. They used, they created a nice title, nice tags, nice description. They listed, and that thing's had like over 100 sales in the last 30 days
mm.
already. And they sell it for, it's like a pretty high value digital product. It's like $15. They charge you,
Oh,
they,
yeah, that's a lot. It's
yeah,
got to be
for
like a planner or something.
it's like a template type of thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
And And I'm just like, that's how you do it right there. Like you're not copying anybody. Like you're
Right,
adding value to the marketplace. You're using validated data to like make that decision.
right.
Um, I'm like, man, that's textbook. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you always want to work backwards. I mean, you want to already know, like, it's one of those scenarios where you don't reinvent the wheel, just like already do what's working, but don't like sit here and copy everything. You just use it to like understand like how they won, right? You use it like figure out how they got a winning listing. And then the more unique you can actually be with your design, the longer lasting,
Yep.
it can live on the marketplace. Like there's shops who are killing it with like just text-based t-shirt designs and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But those shops are like constantly having to create more than just one listing a day, like 10 listings a day, and really automating that process. But the more unique it can be, the longer you can go without having to create too many listings.
I totally agree with that, man. Like everything that we talk about, like, or at least I personally talk about, is just like, don't just copy it. That's an unhealthy like way to run business, and
Right.
just asking for bad things to happen. Like use it as inspiration, but like spin it, make
Yeah.
put your flavor on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where can people find you, man? So like, where can people learn more from you? Where can people find you? How can they get connected? However.
So on Instagram is Rich_KHUN. There's probably going to be like 30 or 40 of them that's like fake. It's not me. I only have one Instagram.
Wow.
It's Rich_KHUN. And then I have YouTube, which is Hustle Ninjas.
Love it, man. And do you offer any coaching or anything like that, like to anybody that wants to kind of get closely connected, or no?
So it's limited, but like we have a private Facebook group where they can come in, and then that's where we typically offer the coaching. So I don't know if I can get you that link, or it should be in like some of my YouTube videos, or
Yeah,
someone can send me a DM.
Okay.
If anything, let's see, they can DM the word coaching, and then we'll send them a link.
Okay, cool. And we actually, if you want to send me that link, you can link it to the show notes in the description and stuff like that too. Thank you, bro, for coming on and sharing the value. Seriously, appreciate it.
Hey man, appreciate you, man. You guys make sure you check out EverBee because it's gonna help you guys with the keywords. Whenever people come shop on Etsy, it's the first thing they do is type in words. So you want to use an actual tool to figure out which those keywords that they're actually using.
Appreciate you, man. Seriously, thank you again. Awesome. I will talk to you soon, bro.
Thank you, man.
Cool. Later.